You know, a very special guest showed up at the ICW show tonight in Scotland, Drew McIntyre. That was a nice surprise. Drew McIntyre, no stranger to ICW many years ago, and obviously he's in town for Clash at the Castle and his big title match with Damian Priest tomorrow, so making a very special appearance on the ICW show. I kind of wish I was watching that show as opposed to this show tonight, because this was the go-home show to Clash at the Castle tomorrow. We got an awesome crowd in Glasgow. I only wish I could say the same about this SmackDown tonight, which unfortunately I cannot. But at least we had a great crowd. Very lively crowd. Always lively overseas. Yeah, it's very apparent to me that when they go to these places, we saw it in France and we saw it in Cardiff, for the last Clash at the Castle. These people appreciate WWE when they come to town in a way that we just don't. And that's why we end up with the crowds that we do. What? I'll take a gazillion soccer chants like the ones we got tonight over that bullshit. So, thumbs up, Scotland. You get the thumbs up from me. There were only a handful of segments on the show tonight that actually tie in with any of the matches taking place tomorrow. So we had a bunch of segments involving people who were not even on the card. And the segments that they did have were few and far between. We had Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles had one last face-off before their I Quit match. And that was the best of the bunch. That was the best segment on the entire show. Outside of that, and there was a very brief interview with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn ahead of their women's tag team title match tomorrow. And some very limited stuff involving Bayley and Piper Niven, and that's it. That is it. So, not a whole lot to really hang your hat on as far as that goes. This was as paint by numbers a SmackDown episode as you are going to get. There really isn't much else to say about that. It ended with Solo Sikoa going over on Kevin Owens in the main event. And we did get the return of Randy Orton, coming to the aid of his good friend who traveled 30 hours to and from to get there and back to Saudi Arabia just to do a run-in. So Orton decided to pay the favor back, and he flew all the way over to Scotland, even though he is not in a match this weekend. But he did so to make the save for his good friend Kevin Owens. But Solo Sikoa goes over, and it's very clear that they are trying to keep Solo as strong as they possibly can, and they're trying to give him some wins, big wins, heading into the Money in the Bank show, SummerSlam coming up, and it's becoming a little clearer to me now the direction the WWE may be going in when it comes to Cody Rhodes and the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. And I hope like hell that I'm wrong. But the way things stand right now, it sure feels to me like they're positioning Solo Sikoa. They're getting him primed and ready for a WWE title match with Cody Rhodes. And it's not a matter of, is that the only match that they can do? It isn't when you've got Randy Orton right there. I could see what they're doing with the Bloodline, but the idea of doing Cody and Solo as a title match at SummerSlam, that's not it. It's not. That's not the match that I want to see. But it may be the match that we end up getting, if I'm right, and this is the direction they seem to be heading in. That may be it. And to me, that's nothing to get overly excited about. This is your Friday night SmackDown review for June 14, 2024. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. And if you want to drop a super chat, you are certainly welcome to do so. We've already had a few people do that, and I thank you, as always, for the support. As we wrap up another great week here on the channel, let's do so strong. Shout out to Quiz and everybody joining here live tonight. There is, by the way, a TNA event going on as we speak. TNA Against All Odds, including a Jordynne Grace Open Challenge for her Knockouts title, which I will not say anything about in case there are people who are waiting to watch the event later tonight or tomorrow. I will hold off on that. I will reserve my talk about that until the podcast on Sunday. But let's get into this SmackDown here, because they open things with the WWE Women's Champion Bayley, who is defending her title. She is on the show tomorrow, defending it against Piper Niven. She stopped as she came out, and she welcomed out Naomi, who was actually in the opening match. So the two of them came out because it was Naomi going one-on-one with Chelsea Green, who had Piper Niven in her corner. Now, Bayley got a nice reception coming out, and I wasn't sure if they would have the fans singing for her at the Clash. Some people told me I'm crazy. Of course they're going to sing for Bayley. They always do. She got a nice enough reaction here. I'm sure they will. But Piper Niven is the hometown girl. You know, they should be going nuts for her, even though she's a heel. You would think that she would have quite a bit of fan support tomorrow. Couple of clunky spots here in this match. Otherwise, I thought it was decent. Naomi went to the top, landed a crossbody on Chelsea for a 2 count. With Naomi on the second rope, Chelsea ripped Naomi off, followed that with a shotgun drop kick from the top. Green hit Naomi in the back of the head and covered her with her feet on the ropes, but Bayley saw this and she pushed her feet off. And that led to some words between Bayley and Piper Niven on the outside of the ring. Naomi countered something that Chelsea was trying into a bridging pin, and she got the 3 count to win the match. So good for Naomi, a rare win for her. I mean, you talk about somebody who's been in the loss column quite a bit since coming back to the company. That pretty much sums up Naomi. So whenever she can pick up a win, that's a big deal for her. We got a video package recapping the Apollo Crews Legado del Fantasma angle from last week, where he was supposed to be in action, and he got jumped by the members of Legado, and then we never saw him again. He was not able to have his scheduled match.
I am the learning tree.
Oh boy, look at this.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. He was with us on Wednesday, and now the learning tree has followed us to Friday. And that comes courtesy of RB065. On my way home, I watched and enjoyed your review on the Dark Side of the Ring on Abdullah the Butcher. Did you know Abdullah inspired the Macho... Wait, hold on a second here. This is going way too fast for me. Did I know that Abdullah inspired the Macho Evolution line in... Oh, the Machop. Is it the Machop or the Machop? Evolution line in Pokemon. Anyway, thanks for the stream and the chat. Stay safe. I am going to take your word for it because I have no idea what the Machop line of Pokemon is. I mean, this is like Luis coming in and talking Yu-Gi-Oh to me. I have no idea. The Dragon of Ra and all that stuff. It's like you're talking a foreign language to me. But RB, thank you very much for the $12. I appreciate it. So we come back live after the recap of what happened to Apollo last week. And we see Baron Corbin is with Nick Aldis talking about getting a fresh start after his stint in NXT. Legado del Fantasma walks in. They ask if Aldis was giving Corbin charity. The Corbin disappeared at this point, and Aldis told Legado that they were lucky they were even allowed into the building this week after what they did last week. And they were fined for what they did. Santos Escobar said that Apollo must be okay because he's a tough guy, and he noted how he would do Aldis a favor by wrestling Apollo later in the show. So we had a new match set for later on tonight. We had the Grayson Waller Effect with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Gargano and Ciampa came out. First thing that Gargano did when he got in the ring was he started to destroy the signage that was in the ring. Ciampa took one of the chairs and threw it out on the floor. Ciampa told Waller that he doesn't play games. He asked Waller if Austin Theory was his secretary. Theory was annoyed, and Waller said the show was created before his team with Theory was created. And then he said he would take the bullet. He would take a bullet for Austin Theory. So Gargano thought that was an interesting comment, and he set up some footage from last week when Waller did the exact opposite of taking a bullet for Austin Theory, and he actually pulled Theory in harm's way on a Gargano dive to the outside. So Waller claimed that the footage wasn't even real. He said that it was AI, which was kind of an amusing line.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Coming at ya!
Dark Effect with the $100 super chat. Not wasting any time here on Friday night. Dark Effect, thank you very much for the bomb. Says, hey Solo, I just wanted to thank you and the GWO. The last few years have been extremely rough for me. I went through a rough marriage and divorce where I lost myself and the things I love. With your podcast and the reviews, I have found my love for wrestling again. Thank you. Well, Dark Effect, I'm happy that you are in a better place now. And you will always have a home here on this channel and on these streams, as you know. And thank you very much for the $100 bomb. That is very, very kind of you. I love seeing that. That's right. Dropping the bomb on the chat. Dark Effect. So where were we here? We were talking about him taking a bullet for Theory. And Gargano basically showed us evidence that said he would do the exact opposite. Waller said that that was actually AI footage. He noted how Gargano conveniently in the footage that he showed did not show him losing to Grayson Waller on last week's show. Ciampa noted that the Scotland crowd were at the show to see a fight. And not only were these fans here in Scotland here to see a fight, but they were here to see a tag team championship match, which of course everybody cheered for. Waller said they would not defend their titles in a place like Glasgow. And Gargano said the DIY is still going to be coming for those championships, and everyone is sick of hearing from Waller, so he decided to turn his attention to Austin Theory. And Gargano said that he goes way back with Theory, of course, from their days together in NXT. He said he's proud of what Theory has done on his own. He said that somebody needs to tell him that Waller is just using him, and Theory doesn't need him. So Waller could see this was going down a bad road here, so he immediately responded by attacking Gargano. When Gargano tried to come back with a super kick, Theory elbowed Waller out of the way, and he took the bullet for his tag team partner. And this was not a case where he got pulled into the way. Yeah, if you go back and watch it, he shoved Waller out of the way, and he took the super kick himself. And then after that, he ate a running knee strike from Tommaso Ciampa when Waller moved out of the way. So Gargano and Ciampa then posed with the tag team belts inside the ring to close out the segment. I'll tell you what, though, based on the reaction here, and obviously, where they were, you had a raucous crowd throughout the entire show. But certainly in front of these fans, this was the most over that Gargano and Ciampa have come across on the main roster since they debuted up here. So they came across as stars here in this segment, at least to these people. The tease of a split continues between the tag team champions. They are clearly teasing that these two men everything is going to come to a head. And eventually Theory is going to see the light, and he is going to realize that this man is just using him. And they're going to go their separate ways. And thus, Austin Theory may be going babyface. I think that's a mistake. I thought that putting him with Waller, they turned into an interesting team. They had some chemistry. They had some... Waller's got a lot of charisma. He's got more charisma than Theory does. And I thought it was good for Theory, or in theory, it would be good for Theory. There's been no indication for me that his character has evolved in such a way that turning him babyface is going to do him any good. Unless the plan is to reunite the Way, which I don't think it is. Candice and Indy would be a part of that. They're heels also right now. I think they're on the other show, right? Aren't they on Raw? So I don't know that that's where they're headed with this, but if it was, that's not an answer. Because it's a dead-end comedy gimmick. This is a guy that they saw enough in to put him in a match at WrestleMania last year with John Cena. Now, we know they didn't follow up on it. They did shit after that. It was a complete waste. But still, they thought enough of him to put him in a match and have him go over on John Cena at WrestleMania. You should not be wasting those spots. You don't know how many more WrestleMania matches that guy has. So, putting him in some kind of comedy gimmick is not the answer. Turning him babyface again, I don't see the vision there. I don't think that he's ready for that right now, but it seems to me like that's the direction they're headed in, and I just don't know that that's going to elevate him any higher up on the card than he is right now. Now, after a break, this right here was quite the segment. Candice and Indy are on SmackDown? They got traded, that's right. Forgot about that. Did they get traded? Why did I think they were still on Raw? Weren't they on Raw recently? Who cares? After a break, we got quite the segment here in the back. Gargano and Ciampa, after standing tall over these two men, had them licking their wounds in the back. So we see Waller and Theory walking down a hallway. And Theory is still holding his jaw. He's rubbing his jaw. And Waller is trying to convince him that DIY, they're not good guys. Okay, you can't listen to them. As they're approaching this room, Bayley and Naomi walk out of the room that they ultimately end up walking into. So now the scene continues. It picks up with Bayley and Naomi. I like that little transition there. So now Bayley and Naomi are walking down the hallway. And we got some more glitches. And we got another QR code with the same countdown clock that the QR code on Raw Monday night took us to, which is this video. Now, this video is not the exact video they showed on the show tonight, but this is the video that it takes you to. This is a countdown that's still ongoing, and the text on the screen is the same as the text that you see here on your screen right now. You refused salvation. The reckoning is inevitable. And this clock here is counting down. We are now T-minus 72 hours away from whatever is going to happen. It is going to go down on Raw this Monday. The new Wyatt crew, Uncle Howdy and friends, are likely going to be on Raw Monday night. I have to think that this is where they debut. Obviously, something is going to happen. I don't know for sure if they're going to actually all be making an appearance, if only Howdy is going to be making an appearance. Is Alexa Bliss going to end up being a part of this? It sounds like she's not going to be. I think they've gone a little too long with this, and it's about time that somebody shows up already. So that's going to be going down on Raw this Monday night. But that is not the only thing that was happening here. So we get the glitches, and we get the text, and we get the countdown clock, and again, it was intermittent, and then it disappeared. As Bayley and Naomi turned the corner, of the hallway, Chelsea Green realized, oh shit, I'm not supposed to be on camera. And she tried to hide herself, and she scurried away off screen so we couldn't see her. That was oopsie number one. Oopsie number two came about 5 seconds later when we could clearly, in the background, right behind where they were, we could see Daivari leading Piper Niven in. But then the camera quickly pans over to the left so we don't see them. Because they were supposed to be part of this segment, but we're not supposed to see them yet. So the camera pans over, and now we have a conversation that's ongoing between Bayley and Naomi. And Blair Davenport is there. Someone else they flew in for no good reason. Maybe she had a dark match, I don't know. But Blair Davenport is standing there talking to Bayley and Naomi, and she's mocking Naomi, and then she just walks off, and that's the end of Blair Davenport. So now we settle into a conversation with Bayley and Naomi. And Bayley is thanking her for having her back the past few months. Naomi said, give me a hug. And they hug. Now Chelsea Green comes in. There she is. Now Chelsea Green is actually supposed to be on screen. So there's Chelsea. And I want you to note, if you watch this segment, and if you missed it, you can watch it back, just this part. When Chelsea comes in to interrupt them and they focus on Chelsea, Naomi, they stop hugging, but Naomi's got her hand on that women's title over Bayley's shoulder. And she ain't letting go. She was probably holding on to that title for another 5 or 6 seconds before she finally let go. And that was not by accident. So that was interesting. Then Piper Niven flew into frame and squashed Bayley and Naomi up against the wall. And they slid down, and down they go. And then she reached down and picked up the WWE Women's title and held it over Bayley and said she would see her tomorrow. So there was a lot going on here. And normally, you know, on WWE television, it's a very polished production that they have. And it's very rare to see this kind of laziness in a backstage segment like this. Once, let alone twice. Seeing two different people who were not meant to be seen on screen. That's very unlike WWE. It was funny as a viewer to see it, but it was just strange to me because usually they run a tight ship there, and normally we wouldn't see that kind of thing, but it happened twice in the same segment. We had Santos Escobar one-on-one with Apollo Crews. Yes, Chelsea did a Brutus Beefcake. That's right. That's a memorable moment. Unfortunately, it's been edited out of that show on the network or on the Peacock. But actually, you know what? It's funny you bring that up because, again, there was actually in those segments that night on the main event, you know, the night that Hogan and Savage had their big split, that wasn't the only faux pas in the back. Remember when they came back from commercial and Elizabeth is back there? She had taken this big bump and Hogan had carried her to the back. And he's literally by her bedside on his knees, hands clasped. He's like crying over her body like she's fucking dying. And they come back from commercial and Hogan doesn't know because they're live. It was a live special on NBC. Hogan doesn't know they're back from commercial. And the camera, while this match is still going on in the ring and Savage is all by himself, we see Hogan, we see Liz, and everyone's very calm and very quiet. And Hogan has this thing where he speaks, he speaks in like Pig Latin. Or Carney. He speaks Carney. He still does it to this day. And he's trying to get a cue. Like a time cue. You know? Gotta know the tizime. Gotta know the tizime. And then somebody tells him, hey, we're live. And you could tell like a switch got flipped. And then he goes back to crying. Oh God, Elizabeth, you okay? So actually that was another situation where it's live TV. And sometimes shit goes sideways, and there ain't much you can do about it. But we had Santos Escobar against Apollo Crews. A couple minutes into the match, Baron Corbin's music plays. Corbin runs out to even the odds because Escobar had some help in his corner. He had Angel and Humberto out there. So here comes Corbin, and he wipes them out. And now Escobar was left only with Elektra Lopez in his corner. Crews gorilla pressed Escobar way over his head, dropped him straight down, and then hit a standing shooting star press that netted him a 2 count before we went to commercial. Later on, a few minutes later, Angel and Humberto, they come running back out. And Corbin again, of course, Corbin stayed out there. Corbin again beats them up and, works them over. While that's happening, though, Elektra Lopez climbs up on the apron when Apollo Crews is on the top rope. And she shoves him off, but he lands on his feet, so he doesn't get hurt. But now he's looking at her. He's got his back turned. Escobar sees this. He's down on the mat. He reaches up, grabs the tights, pulls him backwards, and gets a roll up deep. And he gets the 3 count, and he picks up the cheap win. I honestly didn't expect much from this match, not because these two aren't talented. They're uber talented, but Apollo Crews is not somebody who gets a lot of television time to begin with and is not someone who has been focused, a focused part of the show in a very long time, really since he was the Intercontinental Champion. And when was that? That was 2021, right? I mean, that was when he was doing the Nigerian Prince gimmick and he had the title, and they haven't done shit with him since then. Why should we care, right? Give me a reason to care. They haven't done that. But these guys got a few minutes and they went out there. And Crews got more offense than I would have expected. So I thought the match itself was solid. And it looks like we may have a little alliance here between Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. And this is funny to me. And I'm going to tell you why this is funny to me. If you were a fan of the NXT Black and Gold era, you probably know where I'm going with this. Crews was the one who Corbin was in the ring with at one of those takeover shows. It might have been Brooklyn. First Brooklyn one. I don't remember exactly which one, but It was Baron Corbin against Apollo Crews the night that Corbin shouted during the match, "Go back to Ring of Honor," even though Apollo had never been in Ring of Honor before. That's what made it so funny. That's what made the joke work. But that's who he was in the ring with. And now it looks like we may be getting an alliance between the two of them, so I guess we'll see. Right? Corbin goes from Braun Breaker to Apollo Crews. It may just be for one match. You know, they may do Corbin and Crews against Angel and Humberto next week, and then that's the end of it. But it's more than what they've been doing with Apollo Crews for a long time, so I can't really call it a push, but at least they're doing something with him. Something is better than nothing. Next up was the highlight of the night. Next up was the undisputed WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes, coming out to the ring to a huge reaction here in Scotland. He said a few weeks ago he actually thought that AJ Styles would retire. I don't know that I would be admitting that if I were him because it made him look like a fucking idiot, but he thought he was going to retire. He said, you never want to be that guy. You never want to be that guy who overstays his welcome, that guy who just needs one more match, one more run. Unfortunately, AJ, and then he looked into the camera and he said, you're starting to look like that guy. AJ Styles, though, has been given the impossible task of making him say the words, and he stopped short of saying, I quit. Never actually said the words, but that brought out AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson. Styles cut a promo on him in the aisle. He said that it was really that easy to get Cody this worked up. Now, the crowd at this point was shouting him down. I mean, they were singing and doing their chants, and they were so loud, it was legitimately hard to hear what he was saying. So they were trying to overwhelm him, and they were out there having fun. So Cody asked him a question. He goes, why are you so far away? He said, I thought we were supposed to have a conversation, so why not leave Horace and Jasper behind and face me in the ring man to man? I can't believe we got a 101 Dalmatians reference here from PG Cody on this show. Perhaps next week he'll quote The Little Mermaid. Maybe Beauty and the Beast. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe, pick your favorite Disney flick. Aladdin. Maybe we'll get that next week. So Styles did march into the ring and was very angry that the crowd kept drowning him out. So he said that he and Cody are nothing alike. He said it took him 17 years to climb the ladder to get to WWE, while Cody Rhodes is someone that they welcomed with open arms. But when it got tough, what did he do? When things got tough, what did Cody do? He quit the WWE. He also quit New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then he quit Ring of Honor. And then he looked at him and he said, this man right here helped start a company, and he quit it too. He said, face it, Cody, you can't handle the pressure. When the going gets tough, Cody Rhodes gets going. Cody said, you're right. I made some big decisions in my career. I walked away from WWE. I walked away from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I walked away from Ring of Honor. My buddies and I, we started somewhere else, and I walked away from there too. Said he's always walked away to chase something greater. He did not quit, which is quite a bit of shade there. He did not quit. He bet on himself. He said he gambled on himself, and he was right. If he had quit, he would not be standing here holding the most important title in the game as WWE champion. AJ is someone he idolized his entire career. If anybody quit, he quit on himself. Because what did it take you to get a championship rematch? You had to pretend to be Mark Henry for a night. If anything, the Phenomenal One has become a resentful coward. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but I will have no problem making him swallow that pill and say the words, I quit. AJ said he can't quit being phenomenal. Said the crowd started up again. It was legitimately hard for me because he kept going here. You know, he probably knew, okay, we only have so much time here. So he kept going with the promo, and I my volume wasn't up all the way, so I couldn't hear what he was saying. Like, legitimately could not hear, like, 2 or 3 lines of what he said here. But ultimately, he said that when he's done, he knows it's not going to be easy tomorrow. He says he saw Cody wrestle inside Hell in a Cell against Seth Rollins with a torn pec, and he didn't quit. But he's not going to be in the ring with Seth Rollins. He's going to be in the ring with AJ Styles, and he is going to do whatever it takes to get that WWE Championship. If the crowd was like this for a promo segment on SmackDown, imagine what they will be like tomorrow for Clash at the Castle. Remember in Lyon, France, when AJ was in the ring, they were getting ready to do the ring intros, and the camera was literally shaking, the hard cam? I think we're in for another day like that tomorrow. If this is what SmackDown was like, then I can only imagine what it'll be like in the building for Clash. Now, even though I had trouble hearing parts of this promo, which was nice and all, maybe not nice during a promo segment where you're trying to hear what they're saying. So even though there were parts of it that were hard to hear, I loved AJ highlighting all the places that Cody came from. Because, yeah, he didn't, quit. But it fed perfectly into the point that he was attempting to make here in this promo. He was trying to twist the narrative. But I thought it was actually very smart the way they worked those references into the promo. And then Cody had the comeback where he said, no, I didn't quit. I just was looking to better myself. I was looking to climb the ladder and grab the championship that I have right now. So that I liked. I thought that was smart. But again, it's so nice to hear the crowd if they're going to make noise. And again, I don't know. These chants, they're soccer chants, I guess. I'm assuming they're soccer chants. Right, so I know soccer's a big deal in most of the world, not so much here, but in most of the world. So I have no idea what they were saying. At one point, they adapted one of the chants into Cody's name, so I heard them saying Cody Rhodes, but I have no fucking clue what these people were saying, but it was fun to listen to them. And I would much rather sit here and listen to them do a bunch of soccer chants than listen to a bunch of bozos go, what? Every 5 seconds. I will take that 10 times out of 10 over that other nonsense. That's perfectly fine with me. So I enjoyed this segment. This was, as a final face-off between these two, I thought this was very good. Now, in the back, the Street Profits and B-Fab were interviewed. And again, another week, no Bobby Lashley. There's been no mention of him. I've seen no updates online about him. I am hoping that whatever it is not anything serious. But the fact that we have not seen him, he just up and vanished for what feels like over a month now, is not a good sign. But they were in the back. Out of nowhere, the Bloodline attacked the Street Profits. Kevin Owens ran into the camera frame to try to assist, but he got held back. While all of this carnage was going on, Solo Sikoa very casually just goes strolling by the shot. Hey, Uffman, thank you for the $15 super chat. Uffman Entertainment. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We had Nia Jax against Michin, with Tiffany Stratton on commentary talking about wanting to align herself with the Queen. Has anybody fallen as far and as fast in a short period of time as Tiffany Stratton? What the fuck are they doing with this woman? I assume, than just killing time until we get to Money in the Bank. But holy shit. I mean, really, since WrestleMania, what have they been doing with her? Or at least since Backlash, what have they been doing with this woman? You talk about cooling somebody down. Michin went for a suicide dive early before Nia even got into the ring, but Nia was still far enough away that she barely caught her. I mean, this did not look good. She attempted to dive onto her. It didn't quite work out. So Jax was in trouble early. Tiffany got up from the announce desk to confront Michin on the outside and splashed a drink in her face. Michin, at that point, proceeds to grab Tiffany by the shoulders, call her a bitch, and then tosses her over the announce desk. So now Michin gets back inside. Nia knocks her down, drops an elbow, drags her to the corner, and then annihilates her for the quick win. This match, I mean, if this match went 2 minutes, I'd be shocked. So now we have Tiffany Stratton playing the role of friend, I guess, attempting to be friends with Nia Jax, trying to prove her worth to Nia Jax in some way. You know, the only way that this makes any sense to me, and it still doesn't make sense, the only way this makes any sense to me is if Tiffany goes on to win the briefcase, which she absolutely should, at Money in the Bank. And then at that point, she's got this title contract, right, in her back pocket that she could cash in technically anytime she wants. We know Nia Jax is the #1 contender at SummerSlam for the Women's Championship. You know, maybe Tiffany Stratton is trying to buddy up to her to, you know, throw her off the scent after she wins the briefcase. You know, no, I'm your friend. I would never, you know, I don't know. I'm reaching here. I'm trying to figure out what the point of this is. Why is she trying to buddy up to Nia Jax? Why does she care? All she has to do is go win the Money in the Bank briefcase and she can pretty much do whatever she wants. She doesn't have to be friends with the woman. But yeah, they have noticeably cooled her off in these last couple of months. And look, it won't be that hard. Once they get her involved in something important, once she wins Money in the Bank, it's not like people aren't going to cheer because they like her. They like her and they recognize talent. They recognize that this woman is going places. I just wish they had something better for her to do in the meantime. Look at Gunther. They took him off TV. They didn't have anything for him, so we don't even see him on TV. You imagine if he was just on TV doing meaningless nothing segments every week? Maybe they should do the same with her. They don't have anything good for her. Kevin Owens was shown coming out of the trainer's room. Turns out the Street Profits are not going to be there later, as they said they would be, to watch his back, so he's going to have to go it alone. We got a video recapping Logan Paul competing last week in the Tetris World Championships. This is a real thing. I talked about it last week. He ended up losing to a couple of 14-year-olds. Makes sense, because that's probably the majority of who's playing these games. So he did not win his Tetris World Championship. So he went back home. And there was a camera that just so happened to be following him as he is coming into his home. I mean, he's still outside the home, but there's like a gate. And of course, why would a camera be following him at that point? But let's suspend our disbelief. So his security guy lets him in, and he sees that in his pool is LA Knight. LA Knight is on a floaty in his pool, enjoying himself. Logan Paul can't believe this. So Knight stands up, dries himself off, and tells Logan, look, I gotta go. I will see you in Chicago next week. And off he goes. And then we hear him as he's walking away. He says, bring that U.S. title with you. Yeah. That was the entire segment. We had Carmelo Hayes back live in the crowd with a microphone saying that LA Knight flew all the way to Puerto Rico just to confront Logan Paul. He told LA Knight he thought he cooked, but it was medium rare. And that's the difference between them, is that he doesn't have to chase opportunities because opportunities chase him. And Melo said that he would qualify for Money in the Bank next week and he would get one step closer to being Melo in the Bank. Didn't we have Carmella calling herself Mella in the Bank? Now we're doing Melo in the Bank. Are we this devoid of creativity? We're just recycling shit now? By the way, there's something about these Carmelo Hayes promos. Like, I don't know. I'm watching this one and I don't know. It's different than when he was in NXT. I don't know if it's just he's a little nervous or what it is. I don't know. It just feels off to me. Backstage, the Bloodline was informed by Nick Aldis that due to their attack earlier, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are banned from ringside for the main event. And if they show up, all of the Bloodline will be suspended. Paul Heyman told Solo, look, you're risking losing your leadership position if you fail to win this match tonight against Kevin Owens. And Solo snaps back at him and says, if I don't win, I'm coming after you. So you can imagine the look on Paul Heyman's face. Jackie Redmond in the arena interviewed Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, one of the teams in the triple threat tomorrow for the women's tag team titles. Interviewed them right in the aisleway. And she asked them about their match tomorrow. Alba said that tomorrow they will make history in Scotland. Isla said that tomorrow they will be the new tag team champions. And that was it. There's your segment. Thanks for coming. Just to get them on the show. You know, you want to get all the Scots on the show, except Drew. Drew McIntyre's not a SmackDown guy, so he wasn't on the show. But Piper Niven was, and Alba and Isla. But that's literally all they had to say. So now we get to the main event. I'm telling you, man, we're blowing through this show here. This was when I say this was a nothing episode of SmackDown. This was a nothing episode of SmackDown. Kevin Owens out with his Scotland 316 t-shirt, his Stone Cold t-shirt. It had the Austin skull on the back. Taking on Solo Sikoa with Paul Heyman, but no Tama Tonga and no Tonga Loa. Owens started the fight as soon as he got into the ring. Both men are throwing bombs. Things spilled out to the floor early. Owens connected on a big lariat on the floor and then hit a splash off the apron. That took us into the commercial break. The show came back with Solo in control, and he landed a hip attack on Owens in the corner. Heyman then looked concerned on the outside. Solo went for another one, but Owens moved and then hit a DDT. After they got back to their feet, Owens stomped a mud hole in him and then went up top. Sikoa, though, cut him off. Owens hit a tornado DDT out of it, though. He then went for a super kick. Solo caught him and hit a Samoan drop for 2. Solo set up for a spinning solo, but they traded super kicks until Owens hit a cannonball. Owens went to the top rope. He connected on a swanton bomb for 2. After one last commercial break, Solo is now trying for a superplex. Owens, though, blocked it, and then from there he hit a frog splash for a good near fall. Owens tried for a stunner. Solo countered into a spinning solo. Owens kicked out. So, Solo went for another one and hit it. And again, Owens kicked out. Solo then ran into a super kick. Owens went to the top for a swanton. Sikoa countered by getting the knees up, though, on the way down. Owens dodged a Samoan spike and did finally hit the stunner. He had this man dead to rights. He covers him. Paul Heyman, though, has a moment of clarity because he realizes what Solo said to him earlier, that either I win this match or I'm coming after you. And so Paul Heyman, seeing his life flashing before his eyes, reaches up and places Solo's foot on the bottom rope for the rope break and saves his man. Owens rolls outside. Now remember, Owens was being courted by Heyman effectively a few weeks ago. Heyman was trying to plead with him and be his friend and try to talk some sense into him. And Owens wasn't buying what he was selling. You know, oh, you want to help me all of a sudden, right? I'm supposed to believe you. But he doesn't know what we know, which is that Solo threatened him. So Owens goes over to him, probably thinking, I knew this guy was full of shit. And Heyman is begging off, telling him, I had no choice. I had no choice. Owens doesn't want to hear it. He clears off the announce desk like he's going to put this guy through the table. But before he has a chance to do so, Solo Sikoa shows up, hits a Samoan spike. He rolls Owens back in the ring, hits another spike, and then he pins Kevin Owens. After the match, the rest of the Bloodline run out. They beat the hell out of Kevin Owens until Randy Orton shows up, and everybody loses their minds. Randy starts jogging down to the ring. So just as Owens flew all the way to Saudi Arabia, Owens has to pay it back by flying all the way to Scotland, even though he has no match. So he beats up Tonga Loa. He gets into the ring. He gives Solo the draping DDT. Now he's setting up for the RKO. As he's setting up for it, Tonga Loa comes back into the ring. Oh, I should mention also, there was a spot on the outside where Owens gave Tama Tonga a back suplex. He told all the fans in the front row, move. And he just hoisted him way up in the air and just dropped him straight down on the top padding on the barricade. And then Tama just fell over into the crowd. So that's where Tama Tonga was. But as he's setting up for an RKO to Solo, here comes Tonga Loa back in, and he drops Tonga Loa with an RKO, which allows Solo Sikoa to scurry out of the ring. And the show ended with the Bloodline standing in the aisleway, Owens and Orton in the ring hug, and everybody is cheering, and everybody is happy, and that is how they go off the air. Kevin Owens is trying his damnedest to get this over as best he can. This is not the first time that he has lied down and did the job for the Bloodline, even in the last couple of months. So he is doing whatever is asked of him. He is going out there and, having good matches and getting spiked in the throat a lot and eating a lot of pins. But he's doing what he can. It's really Paul Heyman's reactions, though, that are carrying this thing for me. Some people may be enjoying this new Bloodline stuff more than I am. It's not that I hate it. It's just that I'm not getting out of it what I used to with the Bloodline. And I, like WWE, am waiting for the return of Roman Reigns. Because that's really what anybody is waiting for at this point. You got the crowds every week chanting, "We want Roman," and Heyman's reactions are great when they chant that. He's got tears in his eyes. It's fantastic. But we're just kind of stuck in neutral right now, and what they've been trying to do is get over the killer instinct of Solo Sikoa and really show a more violent, nastier side of him. And they've done that, and they've been doing that, but at some point you've got to move on to whatever is next, and I fear that what may be next is Solo Sikoa and Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. Now, I would rather that be the plan for Money in the Bank. If you're going to do Cody and Solo, do it at Money in the Bank. Maybe they're not going to, try to do a third match with Cody and AJ Styles, which I don't think they can if he beats him this weekend. So maybe do that at Money in the Bank. I just don't want to see that at SummerSlam if that's the plan. I'd much rather see Cody and Randy Orton, and start that story. I don't know that they're going to. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens have been awfully chummy lately, which as a WWE fan has me thinking that between now and SummerSlam, something may happen where we end up with Randy Orton against Kevin Owens. And maybe that's the SummerSlam match. And that, to me, then would even lead more in the direction of getting Cody and Solo. I have no interest in that. I just don't. I have no interest in seeing that as a big title match at SummerSlam. You want to do it at Money in the Bank? You want to do it on an episode of SmackDown? Be my guest. SummerSlam, you've got to come up with something bigger and better for Cody Rhodes. I'm sorry, that's not big enough. It's not big enough. They may try to tie it into the Bloodline story. Maybe Roman Reigns makes his big return at SummerSlam, right? It makes it all worthwhile. But I'm just saying as a match, not knowing what the story coming out of the match may be. But as far as a match itself and promoting that as the big match for SummerSlam, that to me would be a big disappointment. So hopefully they've got something a little bit better planned, or just do it in Money in the Bank. But if you didn't see SmackDown, definitely check out the Cody and AJ thing. I think you'll enjoy that segment. I did. The rest of this, don't even bother. Don't even bother. It's really not worth your time. Now, let's talk Clash at the Castle for tomorrow, because we do have the PLE. It has a 2 p.m. Eastern start time. There is a 2-hour pre-show, so technically it's 12 start time, but really it's 2 o'clock. I'm going to run through the card here with my predictions. You guys can chime in as well in the chat. Let me know what you think. Who are you predicting? Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defend the women's tag team titles against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. Bianca and Jade are going to retain. We have Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental title against Chad Gable. This is one of the more unpredictable, really this in the main event, are the two unpredictable matches on this show. This could go either way. I could see them doing a title change finally, and God knows that they've teased it so many times and he's eaten so many losses. It's time for Chad Gable to win that Intercontinental title. I still feel like it's not going to happen, and I'm okay with pushing it back until Money in the Bank. Just to get that extra heat doing it in Canada. I would save it if we can for Money in the Bank, but he's got to get the win here, because if he doesn't, I mean, at that point, how does he get to another title match if he can't win the match? How does he get another shot? Well, if he wins the match by DQ because he pushes Otis one step too far, and Otis finally snaps and he puts his hands on Chad Gable and gets him, Sammy that is, disqualified. Gable wins the match, but not the title. But the people in Scotland at least get to see Otis have his moment by either, hitting Gable or shoving him on his ass, whatever it is. But that DQ win gives him a reason to ask for one more match, and that's what he gets in Money in the Bank. So that's what I'm going with here. But truly, this match could go either way, and I'm fine with that. I would love it if Gable won the Intercontinental Championship tomorrow. But you've waited this long. You're going to be in Canada in 3 weeks. I'm just saying, why not put it off just a little bit longer? Bayley defends the WWE Women's Championship against Piper Niven. Bayley is going to retain her title. She is not dropping that belt before she wrestles Nia Jax at SummerSlam. That's just not going to happen. Cody Rhodes defends the WWE title. I Quit match against AJ Styles. Would I mind if AJ Styles were to win the title for 3 weeks and drop it back to Cody? No, I wouldn't mind that. Do I think it's going to happen? No. No, I don't. Because I just cannot envision Cody Rhodes. He's not saying the words I quit, which means they either have to do some kind of fuckery in the end like they did with Mankind and Rock all those years ago, or they do what they did in the last I Quit match. It's been almost 2 years since we've had an I Quit match in WWE. It was between Finn Balor and Edge, and the only reason Edge said I quit is to save his wife. Now, I think Mama Rhodes may be in Scotland. I don't know that for sure, but I saw some people mentioning Mama Rhodes. And if she is in Scotland, she may well factor into this finish. But they did that same finish already in the last I Quit match they did. I just can't see them running the same finish back twice in a row, even though it's been 2 years. You're going to do the same exact kind of finish in this I Quit match that you did in your last one? You know, you're going to threaten to beat up Mama Rhodes and Cody's going to quit to save his mom. It's just fucking lame. So I just don't see any way around it. Once they added the stipulation, I think it doomed AJ Styles. I just don't see a way around it. So I think Cody is going to retain. And then we have our main event. This right here is the main event. It is Damian Priest defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre, who is having himself quite a weekend. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that he made a surprise cameo appearance tonight at the ICW independent show over there in Scotland. He's no stranger to that promotion. He was the first wrestler ever inducted into I think it's the Scottish Sports Hall of Fame, I believe. I don't know what the exact title is, but that was a huge honor for him. He's in his homeland. He is challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event, and the one person that means more to him than anything else is not even going to be there, and he's got that on his mind as well. His wife is back home here in the States getting emergency surgery. Now, he didn't say what the emergency was. He didn't specify. You know, emergency could be something super serious, or it could just be like a minor issue, but it was an emergency procedure. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but that's got to be tough to be halfway across the world and your wife is back home having surgery and you can't be there. So if that's the case, I'm sure that he's going to be on the first flight home as soon as that show is over tomorrow. But he's got a title to win, because the last time we came to Clash at the Castle, they were in Cardiff in Wales, and he got screwed by the Bloodline out of the WWE Championship. Would they screw this man over twice, only this time in his home country? Yes, I think they could. CM Punk, I think, is there. Somebody spotted him, so we know he's there. He told us he was going to be there. He threatened to jump out of a bowl of haggis. So yes, I fully expect to see CM Punk there, even though the Judgment Day, based on Raw Monday night, when McIntyre beat Finn Balor, they are banned from ringside. Now, we could quibble and say that technically Carlito is not part of the Judgment Day, so maybe he could show up. Liv Morgan is playing all kinds of mind games. She's not part of the Judgment Day. Maybe Liv Morgan shows up. All right, maybe that plays into a Damian Priest loss. All we know is that the Judgment Day itself is banned. Nobody said anything about CM Punk. I think CM Punk is going to attempt to involve himself in this. I don't think it's going to work. I think that Drew McIntyre is going to leave Scotland as the World Heavyweight Champion. I still don't believe that he is going to walk into or Clash at the Castle. I still don't believe he's going to walk into SummerSlam as the World Heavyweight Champion. So I'm predicting a win here, likely dropping it back at Money in the Bank because of Punk. You get McIntyre and Punk Part 1 at SummerSlam. It doesn't have to be for the title. But I do think they're going to give him his moment here on this show. And I think they should. Now, CM Punk would get nuclear heat if he ends up screwing this guy over. But I just don't see that happening here. So that's the card. Again, Triple H keeping it tight. Small number of matches. Here we got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 matches, right? 5 matches. Going to have long entrances, but it should be a hot crowd in the Hydro. They're going to be attempting to set their all-time arena gate record, which would break the record they set in France last month. Hopefully this time, if they break the record, they don't talk about it in the middle of the ring and have everybody in the building go, yay, for being charged an arm and a leg. Yeah, I saw Meltzer said something, and I was checking to see what the cheapest ticket is, because they still haven't sold out. What the cheapest ticket is at this moment to get into the building for the show tomorrow, it would be the equivalent of over $300 US. That's the cheapest ticket to get into the show. So they probably will end up setting the record. But again, it's just funny to me to have the people in the building cheering for the fact that they got fucking raked over the coals, spending money on these tickets. But hey, guess as long as they have fun, that's all that matters. Here's a SmackDown poll. What did you think for SmackDown June 14th from Glasgow? 66.5% thumbs up, 20% thumbs in the middle, 13% thumbs down for tonight's SmackDown show. At Solomonster on X is where you can vote. Yeah, 300. It's like $319 or something is the cheapest get-in price right now for the show. I mean, it's insane. Now, again, WWE, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about supply and demand. I mean, I understand why, if the demand is there. Doesn't make the prices any less crazy, though. It's still very nutty. All right, let's go through your messages here. Get them on in. We're going to be done soon, so if you want to hang out, get those chats on in. Hey, the real CS with the $4.99. I loved how they asked AJ what he thought about the NXT TNA partnership. He was definitely the right hot person to ask. All right, then. The real CS. A bigger fan of AJ Styles than I thought. And then his very next super chat says, ignore the hot part. No, I'm not going to ignore that. You didn't think I was going to ignore that, now did you? It's okay. You know, hey, AJ, look, he's in the best shape of his life. He's got that majestic soccer mom hair going on. It's all good. Yeah, I did see that. AJ Styles being asked a TNA question by Michael Cole is something I didn't expect at the beginning of this year that we would see, but there it was. That's a real thing that happened. Prince Vegeta 95, happy Friday. Solo, happy Friday. My question is, do you think that WrestleMania documentary involving Rock, Roman, Cody, and Seth will ever see the light of day? At this point, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, unfortunately. I don't know what's going on with that documentary. It's very weird. It's going to end up being like the Vladimir Superfan documentary. It's going to be locked away in a vault, and we're going to get it in 5 years. That documentary was supposed to be released, I think, like that Wednesday after WrestleMania is when they promoted it. Here we are in June. Nobody's talking about it. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. Devin from New Jersey, if Solo were to come up with a 10-point plan to fix Jericho's reputation and legacy, what would it be? That's not my job, to come up with anything to fix his reputation. I don't want that job. There is no 10-point plan to fix his reputation. His reputation is what it is. RB65 with the $12. Again, I read this one before. Now I'm curious though. You mentioned this either Machop or Machop evolution line in Pokemon. How do you pronounce that? How do you pronounce that? Because again, I have no idea what you're talking about. Rodimus Prime. Besides Brett, what theme song from years past is still your favorite? I mean, best theme song of all time is Real American. I'll be talking about him too on the podcast on Sunday. Real American is number one. Dark Effect with the $100 super chat that I read earlier. Again, Dark Effect, thank you, sir, very, very much. Holy shit. Anytime I see those 3 digits, makes my night. The Real CS, why do people still believe a damn thing that Meltzer says? Dave believes whatever anyone tells him. His batting average is still pretty good. Let's not over-exaggerate here. But Dave's had a rough year. Dave has objectively had a rough year. I think the worst was it Dragon Gate or Noah? I think it was Dragon Gate. He went about a full year relying on what he thought was an inside source within, again, I think it was Dragon Gate, that was feeding him news all year, only to find out a year later that it was all just a hoax. Like, that's embarrassing. For it to go on for that long and to be publishing that information in your newsletter for an entire year, that's very bad. Arabian Night. What if Jacob Fatu and Hikuleu debut? Take out Solo with the Gorillas of Destiny by orders of the Elders, aka Rock, thus making Fatu the rightful leader. Solo goes back with his bros, and Roman, now teams are even, OG against new Bloodline. I feel like they're probably going to mix them. I mean, it's possible. I feel like the way they're setting things up is to get to Roman against Solo. So I'm not sure that's what they're planning on doing. But I could see, old and new. It's possible. I still feel like Jacob Fatu, though, ultimately he needs to be a babyface. Maybe he'll be a heel when he first comes in, but he's gonna have babyface written all over him. Derek speaks. I think Cody and Solo at Money in the Bank. Cody wins. Bloodline blame Heyman. Try attacking him post-match. And Roman returns. Solo and Roman. And Cody and Orton at SummerSlam. See, that I can get behind. That, I think, is a much better way to go. You get Solo and Cody out of the way at Money in the Bank. I mean, the real draws at Money in the Bank are always the ladder matches anyway. You do that match at Money in the Bank, and that final moment, you hear that music and people go nuts when Roman comes out. And as he mentioned here, you set up a couple of different matches. You do Cody and Orton, but you get Solo and Roman out of it as a SummerSlam match. We may not have Rock on the show, but at least we'll have Roman. They really need to get Roman on that show. I'd rather have him come back in Money in the Bank and then wrestle at SummerSlam and not show up at SummerSlam. I like that idea. Prince Vegeta says, rather see a SummerSlam rematch from last year with Brock and Cody than Solo in that spot. To be honest, the dude has no personality and is mediocre in the ring. I feel like there is a personality there. It's just in the role that he's in, it's just not part of that character that they're going for. He is being more vocal now than he was when he was just the silent guy who just stood there and didn't speak, but it's possible that there's personality in there. It's just we're not able to see it. In the ring, he's solid but unspectacular. I think that's a good way of describing him. Solid but unspectacular. And even still, in NXT, he was more entertaining in the ring to me as the Street Fighter in NXT than at any point during his main roster run. It's just the nature of the character they have him doing. Giovanni Padilla, in your opinion, are there any American crowds that match the energy of international crowds? If not, why do you think that is? I think because the American crowds just take it for granted. At the end of the day, they just take it for granted because they get so much of it. There are crowds that rival the energy of the international crowds. It's usually, if you expand that to say North American, then we can include Canada. There are plenty of Canadian crowds that have matched that kind of energy, right? Maybe not to the level of France, but I've seen plenty of crowds in Toronto and Montreal, Calgary for the Canadian Stampede back in '97, as another example. And there are crowds in the US, there have been plenty of loud crowds in Chicago, for example. There are some places that usually are pretty good about that. Of course, I say this, and Raw this Monday is in Corpus Christi, Texas. Now, I believe the last time they were in Corpus Christi, they actually weren't bad. But their reputation is not great. So if this Wyatt crew is going to be debuting on Monday, I don't know if that's going to be the best place for it. We shall see. The Mount Vernon Kid, Christopher Bennett. Let me get this straight. Baron Corbin comes out to assist Apollo, and it leads to nothing weird. No, that's for next week. You got to wait until next week to see what the follow-up is going to be. Maybe he'll apologize for telling him to go back to Ring of Honor. Uffman, isn't it sad and pathetic that Cody couldn't say AEW on the show? Is WWE that petty? Yes. Yes, they are. They will allow Sami Zayn years ago to say AEW in a segment. And that was when Vince was still in power. They allowed him to say that. But they are not allowed to mention that on TV. Colin C. with the $10. Not sure if you mentioned this earlier, but did you hear about the reason for Jacob Fatu's delayed debut? Apparently he can't travel overseas due to his criminal record. Guys, I've been saying this to you for a few months now. I actually did not see that. I don't know where that's being reported, but this is what I have been floating to you as a possibility now for the last 2 months. And why I think he, wasn't in Saudi. And we're not going to see him tomorrow because there's no bloodline on the show anyway. But he wasn't in France. I don't know this, but I don't think he's allowed to fly out of the country. He may not be allowed to leave the US. And if that's the case, obviously with them running more and more international shows, that's going to be a problem. WWE can try to fix it. They can work their contacts and try to work their magic. And maybe at some point, if let's say that is true, if that is a problem, maybe at some point they can get that lifted. But that's a hard thing to do. So yes, I can believe it. It is very possible that he is not able to leave the country. And if that's the case, they're just going to have to work around it. It's still worth bringing him in. It's not as if, well, then why bother bringing him in? They're just going to have to work around it. And maybe at some point they can get that lifted. That's been an issue for other wrestlers in the past as well. The Usos, right? They've had their issues with the law. Look, there are people working for WWE right now. MVP, right? He did like a 9-year prison stint. Booker T, if you want to go back that far. So there may be a way around it, but wouldn't surprise me at all. Thankfully for them, there are big shows like Royal Rumble and WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Those are not international shows, so they don't have to worry about that. Chris AXC, do you think the old WCW Battle Bowl concept would work in WWE today? I was never a fan of the Battle Bowl concept, so no, I don't really care to see it. Also, more likely to come back to WWE one day, Jericho, Moxley, or Danielson? Jericho or Danielson more so than Moxley. Yeah, I think Jericho. I think Jericho will eventually be back. Base Beer is Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul. Only a matter of time. Yep. It'll happen at some point. Super Pony. Kevin Owens should leave when his contract expires. Triple H has booked him like shit. Can't remember the last time he won a match. Give me Kevin Steen. Well, I think he's got some time left on his deal, so he's not going anywhere. And I'm sure that when his contract comes due, he will not be one of those people that we hear that they're just going to wait until he's got like a week left. They're going to try to lock him down as early as they can. Evan Watson. My birthday was on Wednesday and I enjoyed Dynamite. Do you have a favorite wrestling moment that happened on your birthday? Mine is Brock and Big Show's ring collapse from 2003. No. The Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, I believe, that happened the day before my birthday. And then the Raw after, which had the Brian Pillman tribute, because he had passed away the day before, that was on my birthday. Right? I think that was on the 6th. But I don't recall there being any big match or anything that would have happened on my birthday. Although I do share a birthday with some very interesting people. I share a birthday with... The thing about this trio, okay? Including myself. Bruno Sammartino and Dixie Carter. Those are two people, at least two people, that I share my birthday with that I know about. What a trio, huh? Bruno Sammartino, Dixie Carter, and Solomonster. We've got Edwin Garcia. Logan Paul against Bad Bunny could have a good storyline behind it. They could incorporate some real-life drama from Logan moving to Puerto Rico for tax breaks. The native against the mainlander. Would it work? I mean, you're not going to build the entire feud around it, but yeah, of course, if they were going to feud, I think that's worth bringing up for sure. Oh, you know, that's right. Hell in a Cell 2019 was on my birthday. Oh my God. Yeah, but that's not a moment that I enjoyed. He said favorite wrestling moment on my birthday, not least favorite. Yeah, that show ruined my whole fucking birthday that year. Don't remind me. Keyshawn Johnson, what if Mama Rhodes throws in the towel? Well, it's an I Quit match, so that won't work. There are no towel throws in an I Quit match. That would be a bullshit ending. I don't want to see that. And neither do you, Keyshawn, so let's not even think about that. The objective is to say the words, I quit. You don't throw in the towel. That's a cop-out that I think would be a terrible way to end that match. The Juliet, Matt Riddle got in a car accident while riding Uber. Yes, I saw that. He was his Uber was in an accident. He suffered a concussion. He had to pull out of some indie bookings this weekend. Otherwise, though, he's okay. The Real CS, I didn't mean it, I swear. Yeah. Uffman Entertainment with the $10 super chat. Brother Solo. Oh no, that's Alex. I'll get to you in a second, Alex. Uffman says Royal Rumble and WrestleMania and SummerSlam aren't international shows, not yet. Looking at you, Nick Khan. Oh, give it time. But for now, they are not international shows. And Alex says, Brother Solo, hope you are doing great. Forgive me if this has been asked, but what are your thoughts on the Bad Blood pay-per-view potentially returning this October? I don't really think that it's necessary, but apparently they're thinking about doing it as some sort of anniversary tribute to the first Hell in a Cell, which was 27 years ago this year in October. So I guess that's the idea, because that was Bad Blood in your house. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, the very first Hell in a Cell. And so the talk is that they're going to revive it at least for this year. And they're going to do another Hell in a Cell match on that show. To which I say this. If you are going to do a Hell in a Cell match on the show, that's fine, provided that it's a match worthy of Hell in a Cell. And I think the match that would make the most sense would be Drew McIntyre and CM Punk to blow off their program. They're going to have their first match. If Punk is clear, they're going to have their first match, or they should, at SummerSlam. You could get a 3-match program out of it. You do McIntyre and Punk at SummerSlam, McIntyre wins. You rematch them later that month, Bash in Berlin, Punk wins. You blow it off in October at Hell in a Cell. That's how I would do it. But that's the feud. That's the match that would belong inside the cell. You're not going to do anything with the Bloodline because there's a chance we're probably going to get a Bloodline match of some kind with War Games. So, you're not going to do a Bloodline Hell in a Cell and a Bloodline War Games. McIntyre and Punk. Match number 3. That's the way to go. Boney with the $5 super chat. Whatever happened to Sid Vicious after WCW? I feel like he should have been in the Hall of Fame by now, but you never hear about him these days. Well, by all accounts, Sid is happily retired. I've seen some pictures on Facebook pop up every now and then of him with his grandkids. Maybe he's still playing softball during softball season. It's the reason they used to call him Softball Sid. That WCW injury was the end of his full-time career on a national stage. They did bring him in for the storyline with Heath Slater when he was being beaten up by all the legends. And, he came in, wrestled him, powerbombed him. They brought Vader in for that, too. That may have been the last time we saw him on WWE television, was maybe the match with Heath Slater. I don't remember what year that was. That had to be... maybe 2012, 2011, sometime around then. But otherwise, he seems to be doing well, and he's, hanging out with family. Unfortunately, there were a lot of wrestlers his age from his era that never got that chance, and they are not around today. Dark Effect with the $5 super chat. There it is. I don't have a favorite moment on my birthday, but my son was born on WrestleMania 30, the day Danielson won both titles, so I am going with that. That's a fine choice. That's a fine choice, and one of the better WrestleManias as well. Certainly one of the better WrestleManias of the last 15 years was WrestleMania 30. That is for sure. So I think I covered all your messages. Thank you guys very much. We are currently sitting at 316 likes. So I'm sure Steve Austin likes that, but I don't. So we are going to have to, unfortunately, try next time for Be the Booker. The Winston Slip, though, has a super chat here. My birthday is on Sunday. Looking forward to the sound off. Well, Winston, happy early birthday. I hope you have a wonderful day. You are going to be getting the gift of a Clash at the Castle review because be aware I am not going to be around tomorrow. So I will not be reviewing Clash at the Castle live. I will, however, be giving you a full recap and all my thoughts on what goes down on Sunday on episode 866 of The Sound Off. So definitely tune into the podcast then. You'll get my full thoughts on that and everything else going on this week. Whatever may have gone down tonight on the TNA show. Ricochet news, Rock news, Hogan news. And I'm taking a bunch of your mailbag questions. So maybe I'll sneak some more in. Get those on in. You can email me. thesolomonster@gmail.com. So that'll be on Sunday. So keep an eye out for that. Hey, Chris Mikesell with the $4.99. I share a birthday with Denzel Washington. Not bad. Not bad at all. And Bobby's World with the $5 says, happy early birthday, Winston. See, Winston feeling all the love here. from people on the street. Base Beerus, thank you for the $2. One of our red skulls in the chat. Bobby is one of our gold skulls. Always love seeing that. So yeah, enjoy Clash at the Castle. And the next time I am live with you will be Monday night for the Raw recap. And we will find out again. Here it is. This is the countdown. You refused salvation. The reckoning is inevitable. We are 2 days, 21 hours, 23 minutes and change away from whatever this next big development is going to be. We will all find out together on Monday and get to talk about that on Monday night. So that will be interesting. Interesting is probably a good word for it. I can't say it's going to be good. I can't say it's going to be bad until I see it. And the Winston Slip says, cheers, Bobby's World. So we love Bobby. We love Bobby. Bobby. We always love Bobby. Daddy Ugarte, take care, man. Take care of yourself. All right, be well. Stay safe. We will try again for Be the Booker on Monday. Hopefully we'll get those likes up a little bit better and do it all over again for the Raw review on Monday night. Have yourselves a good night, and I will see you guys next time for more live sound off. Until then, take care, guys.